The old man had not spoken in 3 days. He lay quietly in the narrow bed by the window of Rosewood Care Home, his thin chest rising and falling beneath a faded blanket. The machines around him hummed softly, keeping time with a life that once roared with strength, authority, and wealth, but now existed only in fragile breaths. His name was Arthur Hale. Most people in the building knew him only as the quiet one in room 214. They didn't know he had once built an empire from nothing. They didn't know his name was printed on skyscrapers, hospitals, and scholarships across the country. And Arthur himself had long stopped correcting anyone. To him, none of that mattered anymore. The only person who spoke to him like he was still human was his caregiver. Her name was Lily. Lily was 24, small in stature, with tired eyes that carried a softness the world hadn't yet managed to harden. She worked double shifts at Rosewood, not because the pay was good, it wasn't, but because her mother needed medication, and because Lily believed old people deserved dignity, even when the world had forgotten them. Every evening, she followed the same routine in room 214. She checked Arthur's vitals, adjusted his pillows, wiped his hands with a warm cloth. And then, when she thought no one was listening, she sang. Her voice was gentle, barely above a whisper, the kind of singing meant for comfort, not performance. Old songs. Lullabies her grandmother once sang to her during power outages. Melodies that carried warmth instead of skill. Musical note, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine, musical note. She didn't know if Arthur could hear her. She didn't know if it mattered. But she sang anyway. Because in her heart, she believed hearing was the last sense to go. What Lily didn't know was that someone else was listening. That evening, the door to room 214 was slightly open. A tall man in a dark coat stood silently in the hallway, his hand resting on the doorframe. He had arrived unannounced, his visit known only to the director of the care home. No entourage, no assistant, no press, just a son, coming too late. His name was Daniel Hale. He was worth hundreds of millions. A tech entrepreneur. A man whose face appeared on business magazines and conference stages. A man who negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking. And yet, in that moment, Daniel stood frozen, eyes wet, as a young caregiver sang softly to the father he had ignored for years. Daniel hadn't planned to come. Work had always been the excuse. Meetings, expansion, deadlines. The empire his father once built now rested on his shoulders, and Daniel had convinced himself that success was the best way to honor Arthur. He had sent money, paid for the best care, upgraded rooms, donated equipment, but he hadn't come. Until the doctor's call that morning. If you want to see him conscious again, the doctor said quietly, you should come today. Daniel watched from the doorway as Lily gently held Arthur's hand while singing. She didn't notice him. Her eyes were closed, as if she were pouring something invisible into the room, something warm, something alive. Arthur's fingers twitched. Daniel's breath caught. For the first time in days, his father moved. Lily felt it too. She stopped singing and leaned closer. Mr. Arthur, she whispered. It's Lily. I'm here. Arthur's eyelids fluttered. They didn't open fully, but they moved. Tears slid down Lily's cheeks. That's okay, she said softly. You don't have to wake up. Just rest. You're not alone. Daniel stepped back into the hallway, his chest tight. He had never spoken to his father like that. Later that night, Lily finished her shift exhausted, unaware of the storm she had stirred. As she walked past the front desk, the director stopped her. Lily, she said, unusually nervous, someone would like to speak with you. In the private office sat Daniel Hale. Lily froze. She recognized him instantly, from television, from news articles, from the plaques on the building's walls. Did I do something wrong? She asked quickly, hands clasped. Daniel stood up slowly. No, he said. You did something right. He looked at her, truly looked at her, as if trying to understand how someone so young could give something he never had. I heard you singing to my father, he said. Lily's face flushed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, if it's not allowed. My father hasn't responded to anyone in days, Daniel interrupted. His voice cracked. But he responded to you. Silence filled the room. Daniel took a breath. Why do you do that? He asked. The singing. Lily hesitated, then answered honestly. Because no one should feel alone when they're leaving this world. That sentence shattered something in Daniel. He nodded slowly. Thank you, he said, for treating him like more than a patient. Daniel left that night without another word. Lily assumed that was the end of it. She was wrong. The next morning, Lily arrived to find room 214 transformed. Fresh flowers, new curtains, a comfortable chair by the bed, and Daniel sitting beside his father, holding his hand. He looked up when Lily entered. "Good morning," he said. "I hope you don't mind, I'll be visiting more often." Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Arthur began to wake for short periods. His appetite improved. Sometimes, when Lily sang, his lips would move, barely, but enough. Daniel started coming every day. He listened, he watched, he learned. He saw how Lily spoke to residents no one else had time for. How she stayed late without pay. How she treated every fragile body like it carried a lifetime of stories. One afternoon, Daniel asked her, "Why haven't you gone to nursing school?" Lily laughed softly. "I'd love to, but tuition costs more than I make in years." Daniel said nothing. A week later, Lily was called into the office again. She expected a schedule change. Instead, Daniel handed her a folder. Inside was a full scholarship. Tuition, books, living expenses. Her hands shook. This must be a mistake. "It's not charity," Daniel said gently. "It's an investment. In someone who reminded me what really matters." Lily cried. Arthur passed away peacefully 2 months later. On his last evening, Lily sang one final song. Daniel stood beside her. Arthur's eyes opened, just once. He looked at his son. Then at Lily. And he smiled. At the funeral, Daniel spoke quietly, not as a billionaire, but as a son. "My father built buildings," he said. "But this young woman built peace in his final days. That matters more." Years later, Lily would become a registered nurse. Then a hospice director. And every new caregiver she trained would hear the same words. Skills heal the body, but kindness heals the soul. And somewhere, the echo of a soft song continued to change lives, one forgotten room at a time.